man. So how's it been going?
Hey, I don't even know, eh? 2 years of fucking open up, de mekaar and fucking bizarreness, yeah.
Totally, yeah.
And your side?
It's been the same here. 2 years of fuck knows what, eh? But
Yeah.
luckily, the pandemic for me has sort of the last 6 months or so. It's really brought me back to music. So been really active and stuff. So.
I was kind of hoping, thinking that could be the case, but no, it didn't really work for me. we did some stuff, but not as much as I would have hoped.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't really have the list for it.
Okay. Yeah, but on your side, it's quite hectic, and you guys are hoeing out the mutants, churning them out.
Yeah, I know, but like they said, I mean, hey, just that shit's gonna happen regardless, no matter where.
For sure.
So, what you gonna do?
Definitely.
I guess the scientists here were just jacked enough to actually say something where the other guys just rather keep quiet so they don't get thrown under the bus.
Probably. Lord knows what's being kept from us.
Yeah, big time. Anyways.
No, cool. So I've been starting this little channel goodie, and I figured it'd be a nice time to catch up a little. Obviously, we know a lot of. There's a certain time span that we both sort of know of, but I think for the viewers, it'll be great to spool back a little bit and go to the beginning days, the early days of. I mean, as we're going to outline, you've been in V.O.D and now you're active with Terminatryx. So
I have to sort of like consult the memory banks because it's going back like 30 years, eh?
Yes, it's insane. I've been thinking today, like, whoa, that's quite a bit. So tell us, how did it kick off back then for V.O.D? I mean, that must have been way in the apartheid days, huh?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was mid 80s. That's when Francois and Henk, my older brother, and I, my two brothers, we had this garage band, Moral Decay, like about 1986 or so. And that's about the same time that V.O.D started, but we weren't aware of it because, I mean, we didn't go to clubs. We just like played at home. We didn't do anything. I was 16 at the time. Francois was about, I think I was 15. Francois was about 18. No, even younger. Man.
Garage band.
Yeah, it must have been like about 86. Yeah, 86. So I was, 85. Yeah, 85. So I was 15 and Francois was about 18. And so we just like played some covers and a couple of sort of punky stuff because it was easy. I had this pretty crappy gear, but just we just had fun doing it. So while we were doing that, V.O.D was doing their thing at the other side of Cape Town, and they started playing shows. But
so that was Greg and
we only
Stuart,
really started playing. Yeah, that was even before Stuart. It was Neil. I don't even know his surname. He was just called Neil the Viking. He was the first vocalist. Greg's the only original member left by the time I joined in about 89. So they played. They were a full-on punk band then, sort of punk hardcore. And then by the time our paths crossed here about 1989 when Francois and I had a band, Metamorphosis. That was with Dickon.
Before Mr. Mark Vass.
Yes, the first Metamorphosis in Cape Town. Hang on a second. The light seems to be flickering a bit here. Can you see it?
Nah,
it's making it up. Okay. Hope I don't get an epileptic fit from it. But so we had a band, Metamorphosis, also did some covers, and it had remnants from the band Phoenix. Dickon played bass for Phoenix, and Cliff West, he was a guitarist he was a vocalist in the band. They had two other guitarists, but Cliff also played guitar. So for Metamorphosis, it was Francois, Dickon, Cliff, and I, and then from there, Cliff and Dickon went off and started Ravenwolf.
Yes.
The Metamorphosis we were only like sort of 1989 or so. And then we played some shows. Francois started DJing at Artie's, the pub downstairs there in Riebeek Street in Cape Town. And we started playing some shows there as well. And then V.O.D heard about it because, I mean, always trying to find cool venues. So there's a venue that had like metal punk afternoons. So that was perfect for them. They pulled in, and then they were sort of having kind of a crossover thing happening as well. And Stuart was on vocals. And then their drummer, another Neil, he left. And then they asked me if I want to join them. I was like, and at the same time also they started Ravenwolf for a drummer. So Ravenwolf also wanted to know if I want to drum for them at the same time. But V.O.D was more the kind of thing that I liked. It was more thrashy at the time and more it was faster and heavier. So I thought, okay, cool, let me check this out and join V.O.D. Listen to their demos, those crappy little What demos. I don't know if you remember that cassette, this snail little man thing with all the cut and paste punk cover.
DIY.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I listened to that and started playing shows. And, yeah, from there it just got more metal because Dickon was in the band as well. Radley was the bassist before him. And Dickon was all obviously Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden background. And, yeah, it just got more metal, but it was still very punky with Stuart's vocals. But then I left in about 91, I think. And while I was gone for about a year, and then Francois joined on vocals. Then it was full-on metal band because Francois' vocals. And then the drummer, I think Robbie Stelik was playing drums for them for a stretch. And then I don't know if he went overseas already by that time, or if he just left for some other reasons. But then they asked me if I wanted to come back again. I said, okay, cool. Because now the band was more kind of, you know, how I would have liked it, like a kind of a metal band. It was a bit. Hello. Oops.
Oh, there you go.
Say hello for Yuan.
I've got one of those in the other room.
Yeah. And so yeah, then things just got more and more jacked up from there. That's when we got like the in-house. Well, that's when the 7th demo was recorded and released as well. It became quite a underground favorite. Tape trading it all over the world, and people got to hear about the band and in the zines, you know, from flipping Europe to little Cape Town zines everywhere.
That 7th demo actually also made it up to Namibia.
Well,
yeah, it's not that far.
Still, back then.
Yeah, for Namibia.
There wasn't even email back then, so yeah. I was actually thinking about it. I was thinking about it yesterday when we went up to play Opikopi. And I was just thinking, you know, that was like when we got email. When we did the European tour, I didn't have an email address in like 1995. I only got an email address in like 1998. It was a case of if you wanted to communicate, you like wrote letters to each other.
Yes. Unbelievable, eh?
Yeah. Like, I mean, like, I don't even think I ever had a phone number for you. Like here in Cape Town, we had band practice. So we all met up for band practice, or like at Artie's or at the playground or wherever we were doing. You just like connected like that. And then.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, but then we connected with Greg Langness.
That rings a bell. Yes.
He ran a club called the Torture Chamber. So we went up there and we played a show, and he was not connected, but he was like, I think he was friends with Philip Null from In-House Records. And he suggested that we send them our demo. So we sent him a 7th demo. I said, okay, cool, yeah, do you want to come sign up with him? That's when all these metal bands were popping up in Joburg, and In-House was recording them. Debauchery, Retribution Denied, Axe, Funeral, who else were there?
Yeah, Abhorrence,
Strider, all those bands.
Odyssey.
Yeah, so we were the only Cape Town band. The rest were all pretty much just Joburg bands. And, you know, so I had to drive up to Joburg. It was about a 15-hour drive straight through, 5 people in a car. It was nuts. So we went up there and then we recorded this was about, this 93? Also did that live 93 VHS of the show. No, that was about in 92. We played with Napalm Death in 93. That's when we did that.
Correct.
That
Yeah.
video. So it's about 92, signed to In-House Records, recorded the Black Cathedral album, cassette album. And from there, they connected with Morbid Records to help distribute that was big thing, the first metal CD in South Africa, the Death of Africa. Yeah, it had V.O.D, Poetry, Retribution Denied, and who was the fourth band on there? Can't remember. But they released a cassette version as well that had Funeral and I think Abhorrence with some of those extra.
I think there was Sepsis or something also.
I don't think Urban Assault was on there. Sorry, Sepsis. I don't think Sepsis was on that. I think Sepsis became Groin Churn. Groin Churn, exactly, yeah. But anyway, yeah. So then Greg contacted Morbid Records and said, "Hey, we are on this compilation that you guys are releasing. Do you want to sign us?" They said, well, okay, cool. So then we just had to ship over to the freaking Europe and record and tour and yeah. Yeah, I remember the one evening at Atkins. What's it? Was it Davies' workplace? Atkins Audio Digital. There's a sound guy there. We used that as a practice room. Yeah, and he also came to do our live sound and all the live shows and man. And now he's in he's got a Greek passport, so he stayed behind when we came back in 96, 97. When did we finish that tour? And yeah, he's managing bands like Korpiklani and Ter and stuff like that. So, and he's done. When I saw him in Europe, he was doing sound for I think Amon Amarth and that kind of stuff. Yeah, sound for loads. All those bands, even I think Nuclear Assault and all kinds of bands. Amazing. Whenever they come to the sound, because I think he connected with the Metallici, the guys who did the touring, who handled our tour. Was it 96 or 97? 96. 96. He connected with them, and then I think he started sort of doing tour manager / sound engineer for them on their tours, and then just went from there. That's David van Black. We're calling him Darby in case people. Who's this Darby? Yes. David van Black. Yeah. But that's sort of where we caught up then, hey? And that European tour was amazing. It's something I wouldn't change or I wouldn't want to miss. And it's amazing. Those bands are still going today. Catatonia is still going strong. In the Woods are still active again, and I see quite a bit of their things online. So you guys ended up then basically staying in the UK for a bit still, and then returned back to SA. Yeah, and it's very much after the tour. It was like, okay, I'm heading back home now. And then Franco and Greg, they were still hanging. Dickon is originally from the UK, so he just thought, well, that's a good reason just to stay behind. And then Franco came back, I think a year later or half a year later even. And then Greg came back about 99. He was there for about another year and a half or so. And did you go straight to Germany or back to Namibia? I went back to Namibia. Okay. Like I said, it's 30 years or so that I must try and remember who did what. Yeah, definitely. It's crazy. I sometimes have weird overlaps there. So then 98, yeah, of course. You played with us at the Opikopi 98. Yes, correct. Yeah. So we got to, I don't know how, but I connected with I came back and I was just doing my own thing. I started writing sort of movie and music related stuff for magazines and newspapers down here. And I bought a bass guitar in London, and I did this little solo project, Fate, just like messing around, doing this kind of ministry type stuff. And but then somehow, I don't know how, but I ended up chatting with Carl, the guy who started K.O.B.U Festival. I told him, like I said, I don't know if he contacted me, if I contacted him, but it was a case of, hey, maybe V.O.D should play at K.O.B.U. And people don't know K.O.B.U is like the biggest rock festival in South Africa. It's up there in the wilderness in the north somewhere. And so it was a case of Greg was still up there, Francois was back, Dickon was still there as well. But so we thought, well, I mean, Johan's just in Namibia, he can zip down much quicker to play guitar. So you were keen, and then we needed a bassist. And then old Tom Summers.
Adam.
Yeah, but initially Tom was going to play.
Initially, Thomas, yes.
Yeah, and then I don't know what happened that he bailed out, but he came with us, but he didn't play. But then chatted with Pothole vocalist guitarist Adam van der Riet, and he said, cool, he'll play bass for us. Had a couple of practices, played a few shows. Actually, oh no, sorry, I'm thinking of the shows before.
We did a warm-up at Purple Turtle.
Yeah. I think I've got that. I think I've got that on a high 8 tape, that show. I think.
Yes.
I think. Unless I'm getting mixed up with the shows we played before the Woodstock Festival in '99, South African Woodstock Festival, not that one.
No,
and,
not the big one.
So yeah, but then I got them to, since we had to travel up all the way from here to at least play 2 nights. So we played the Black Label stage sort of late afternoon, which I felt was a much more exciting show than the main stage the night after.
Yes.
Although they were both.
Yes.
Lots of footage of that we must still use, that no one's really seen. But yeah, and then from there, a year after that, we played at the Woodstock Festival. This festival at I think it's a guy who ran Bike SA magazine. He asked Authentic Ideas, a company in Joburg, to do like a music festival, and we played that one. That's when Greg came back, and then Tom played bass for us on that show, and did a couple of like the Springbok Bar in Stellenbosch. And I think my future wife, Sonia, was actually at that show, but we didn't meet up then. We only met up
You're breaking up a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
am I there?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. We for the Woodstock show, we played some warm-up shows like the Springbok Bar in Stellenbosch, the venue that we never played before. So it was like this metal show, early evening. And then it switched over to like the student plebs listening to techno and stuff. So it was like, as we were trying to get all these butts and cherries were trying to like get in. Fucking hell. But my wife Sonia was actually, I think she was at that show. And but then we met up about a year. Actually, it's about a year later. We met just in 2000 at another K.O.B.U, the first and only K.O.B.U show that was in Cape Town. We had one in. We didn't play there. I just went there to cover it for Stage magazine, to write an article and take some pictures and stuff. So I met Sonia there, and then we started Terminatryx shortly after that, like about 2002. And that's also almost 20 years ago. It's crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. Frozen now. Oh, you're back.
I'm here. You hear me?
Yeah.
Am I moving?
Good. Yeah, now you're there. So basically, yeah, then
Okay.
you guys started, and what I hear from, I mean, I've been following your postings and the songs, and you've done cover versions, and so it's always been very cool. And what I basically hear is a mixture of sort of industrial, dark metal, all that kind of stuff, gothic metal in there. So
Yeah.
that was the approach. And
It's a bits of all the stuff that we like. So it's not really, it's not really a well formulated thing. It's whatever we feel like, but it has its vibe, that kind of thread that goes
definitely.
through.
That cuts through. And initially you had Tom on guitar there as well, eh?
Yeah, he played guitar when he started, but then he moved to Scotland. And then we got our friend Malcolm, who played guitar for Gremlich, the goth metal band from the early 2000s. To play, actually, we got a spot to open for Diary of Dreams, a German darkwave band.
Yes.
So it came down to South Africa to tour, and it was like, shit, okay, well, we've never played a single live show before. Because when we started out the Terminatryx, it was Sonia and a friend of hers, Christina, they wanted to do like some cool two-chick vocal thing, like sort of hard-edged kind of something. We didn't know what it was. So then I programmed some songs and put some bass guitar on it. It was sort of like my Fate project, but just sort of a bit jacked up, and then with the female vocals. And we got Tom to play guitar, but then we did some demo recordings. I ended up using a couple of these bits of the demo recordings on our first album for some of the songs, but Tom left. So for the live shows with Diary of Dreams, Malcolm came in. But then there was a chance. First our friend Brett was going to play, who's now our bass guitarist again. Let's go round and round. I was playing bass guitar. Brett was going to play guitar, but then he was going to go to the States because he was working for guys in the States, and he was going to go over again. So then we got Malcolm to take over if he had to go, but then he didn't. So we just ended up having both of them play guitar for us. We actually put that live show we put online, I think earlier this year or last year. About six of the songs we put on our YouTube channel. And that we never released it at all. So we thought, just dig into the archive. We've got so many DV tapes of shows that we played all over the place that we just never utilized. So it was cool to make use of that. But then Malcolm and our drummer Ronnie was also playing drums for us then. He was the first drummer. And then I think, it was like this, it was Brett, Malcolm, and Ronnie. Then they started a band, Revelist, with Stuart, V.O.D vocalist.
Okay. Okay.
Things just converging all over the fucking place. So then it was just myself and Sonia for like a year, played tracks. We ended up, myself and Sonia, then we got a chance to play Popcom in Germany, the
awesome
Popcom music symposium festival thing. There was like a kind of a South African contingent. So it was us, My Epic, and Misled. Played at the Donker Club. That was 2006. But we got Dickon to play bass with us. So we had two bass guitars.
Nice.
So that was meant distortional bass guitars like a guitar. So, but Dickon used these 12-string bass as the clean bass, and my distorted bass was like the guitar, and then the programming and drums and stuff on the track, and Sonia doing vocals. So that was quite a fun trip. That, and was also sort of cool. Myself and Sonia. It was our honeymoon as well, because we got married in 2005, and then we took a trip and went to Paris and Amsterdam. It was great fun. But then so Dickon was in England, so I actually shot a VHS tape of playing the songs, mailed in the tape.
And Dickie's like,
and learned the songs. We met up in England, took a plane over to fucking Berlin and played the show.
Nice,
that was very
man.
cool. And then so from there we just recorded. Sorry, I didn't mention, but the second vocalist right at the beginning dropped out, so we never played any live shows with two female. It was just Sonia from the start.
Okay.
Then we recorded our first album in 2000, or released it in 2008. We sort of recorded stuff across years, and like, fuck, we have to now do something. And then we signed up with ENT Entertainment, the South African label who released the first 2 K.O.B.U.S albums. Francois, my brother Francois, other band, K.O.B.U.S Afrikaans metal band with him and K.O.B.U.S from Springbok Nude Girls.
Correct.
Oh, and I started playing drums for them as well about 2000.
I was about to ask, did you go over for the Manowar stint?
No, I didn't. That was Werner from Walsleben went over for that.
Okay.
No, I didn't. Yeah, it was. I was working on our own stuff, and so and it was going to be an expenditure as well. It wasn't a completely covered trip, so I didn't want to cash as well. So what year? I can't remember what year that was.
Not a bad invitation, though, eh?
Eh?
Not a bad invitation from Mr. De Mayo.
Oh well, you know. they had fun. But yeah, and then from there, after the first album, because we for each album we record, we do a full remix version of it as well. So we've got all
I've checked that. Yeah.
So we've got Buttering, like local industrial, the biggest local industrial band to do for us. Ashton and the Awakening, who's now living in the States, the African goth act who moved over to the States, did one for us. We also played with Martin Degel from Zig Sputnik. He after the band broke up, he just kept on going as Zig Sputnik Electronic, kind of a 2-man Sputnik project. They came down to Cape Town, I think it was about 2010. Wow. So we recorded, I mean, we played with, opened for them, and then chatted with them, said, hey, you want to remix one of our songs? Yeah, cool. So they remixed one of our songs as well. And we also, that same year, we also played with Sheep on Drugs. They also toured South Africa. And as you do, you go, hey, you want to remix one of our songs? I said, yeah, okay.
There we go.
and some other very, very cool guys like Industry Zone. Are they from Austria or Belgium? I think they're from Austria. They also remixed one of the songs, and guys from Greece. Yeah, so we got all cool, interesting people to remix songs for us, and and that just turns it into a whole different thing. And some of the remixes we prefer to our original ones, so we do like live versions of the remixes as opposed to the original songs. And then 2014 we recorded our second album, Shadow. But then did
you guys actually in this time now shop the material here in Europe, or even to magazines like Sonic Seducer, and because that scene is big in Germany, huh?
No, I know. Yeah, no, we sent stuff around, got good responses from people, but didn't get signed anywhere beyond that. We just we recorded everything ourselves.
But that's probably the way to go these days. It's rather have your own stuff and
for sure. But
signing.
It was a case of we had to like kind of dive in and figure it out ourselves. Sort of bought a Mac and like an Mbox and Pro Tools and just let's see what happens. We fucking did it. And,
better for it.
Yeah, no. So it was a steep learning curve, but we had it mixed with Simon Ratcliffe. He was played flute in Ravenwolf. If you remember him.
Yes, I remember him, of course.
He's got a studio, Sound and Motion Studios. They do lots of movie-related stuff. They mix soundtracks for movies and won lots of awards. But then we also actually, sorry to keep jumping around, we're also in a project with him called the MAKABRA, where we
lost you there. Sorry, the
MAKABRA Ensemble.
MAKABRA Ensemble, okay. Mm-hmm.
We create new soundtracks to old classic silent films like Nosferatu, Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, Faust, Metropolis. Nice. And then in 2005, Sonia and I started the South African HORRORFEST film festival. And that's every year then we do over Halloween season. In addition to the festival screening movies and short films, we also then screen an old silent film and perform it live on stage underneath the screen. And Simon Ratcliffe is also in that group with us, and Sean Oldham, all good friends of ours. and Matthijs van Dijk, a guy who plays violin. We also played Oppie twice with us. Played Nosferatu and Machiste in Hell, another movie, Italian movie. We performed it live at Oppie, and one guy said he was on mushrooms. He was like freaking out in front of, watching the screen, listening to the live soundtrack to Nosferatu. He's like completely. It was fun, man. But yeah,
when you do the HORRORFEST screenings, I was always wondering, do you do it at a certain cinema in Cape Town? Do you do it countrywide, or how does that work?
No, just the Labia Theatre.
Okay.
One near the Mount Nelson, Orange Street. Yeah, Gardens. Oh. So yeah, and that happens every Halloween. But then in 2008, so we took the first self-titled Terminatryx album to Simon to mix, because I'm still not much of a mixer. I do it because I have to. It's kind of under duress and just for cost, basically. Yes. Do it all myself. So, but then the first one we took to Simon, and he gave us like some discount, and Sonia covered all the cost because she earns more money than me, and we released the first album, and from there we did the remix album, and then the Shadow album. We decided let's try and go beyond the home recording and go to Theo Kraus's studio. The Theo Kraus we mentioned from K.O.B.U.S and
yes.
we built. It's got a studio called Belleville Studios. All the big South African acts have recorded there, from Foko Polisikar to Karen Zoid. Lots of Afrikaans artists record with him. But yeah, so half the stuff recorded at home, just the basic tracks, and then took it to him, did some extra stuff and live drums and mixing it. So yeah, so that album's got much more of a real studio sound than our first album, which was a bit more kind of electronic with the programmed drums and so on. But yeah, some people prefer that more to the organic sound. But yeah, it's kind of, we just do whatever we feel sound cool, so it doesn't have to sound any specific way.
Yeah.
And then we did a of the Shadow album, also with a couple of returning remixes like Sean Oldham, which I mentioned, from the MAKABRA ensemble, and Battery 9, and a couple of new ones like Grime House. So it's like a kind of a dubstep sort of hard style type remixes. Another ones, again, ones that we actually end up liking to the extent that we kind of do that live compared to the original song. But yeah, live wise, we haven't done much because of obvious reasons. Yes. But it's also just, Cape Town, with things with us, it's we kind of forced to fit into the full-on metal side, and the metal bands in South African Cape Town, they're very much, how can I put it? It's either death metal or metalcore, or some just kind of more straightforward metal, male vocal stuff. So there aren't really many female-fronted metal bands for a start, I guess, but especially in South Africa, and just to kind of find other bands to slot in with to play live shows, it's not always that easy. So it kind of always has to end up being other metal bands. But then the cool thing about that is it gives the show a bit more diversity. It's not just brr and brr and brr.
Yeah.
It's got gives it some valleys and peaks. But we don't care. I mean, we'll play anywhere with anyone on anything. So.
And amazingly, there's very little in that style that you guys are following around there. Or do you have to basically go to Joburg to play with Battery 9 to sort of slot in more with your crowd?
That's the thing. I mean, I don't think now which bands we've played with that now. And then, I mean, Heiser from Battery 9, he was an integral part of the band. He unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. So Battery 9 hasn't played live since then. So we never actually got to play Battery 9 live. And yeah, there just aren't really bands like us to play with and match up with. I mean, but we also did in when was this? In 2014, 15. Ministry came to South Africa to play one show, just one show. Wow. So the coolest match that we've ever had was playing with Ministry when we opened for them. And
nice, Mr. Jorgensen.
Yeah, they just played one Joburg show, and Sean from Witch Doctor, also maybe over the year before that we played the Witch Fest. It was like one of the biggest metal festivals that they set up, which was loads of international bands, Septic Flesh and Flesh God Apocalypse and Epica.
Oh wow!
Reed, Cannibal Corpse. It's like a 3-day festival, which is very cool. And yeah, so it was Ministry was the coolest match we've had, but yeah, like one show. And
I mean, you guys, every time I hear, I've got a good friend who's very much into that kind of music, also EBM. He loves some old punk stuff, but he goes to VGT every year, Wave Gothic Treffen in Leipzig. Now, yeah. What I've seen from there is just, then I always think of you guys, and I think you should get a slot there. I mean, that's like perfect.
What's that Vera Luna Festival? Is that in Poland?
I don't know where that is, but it rings a bell.
Some castle festival in Romania or something. There are a couple of those, and it's just like, fuck yeah, and that would just work so well. And also we've also opened for V&V Nation when they toured South Africa.
Wow, I'm amazed at the acts that have actually come down there.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But it's also a case of it's like one guy kind of deciding he likes his band, he's gonna, like Dave Sass. What's no Dave Sass? Or Subterranea. Like he got V&V Nation down. The guys from Alter Ego, very small little company, they didn't, I don't know what happened to them, but they brought down Diary of Dreams. Aidan Harper assisted with doing the Dickens brother Aidan, to get the 66 Sputnik thing done. You know, and guys like, I think it was Roland Raker. He had all those clubs in Joburg, Angel Dust, Image, I think it was called. Him and I think they managed to get Sheep on Drugs down. You know, so it's not like it's the big, well, eventually
very random.
Big concerts eventually brought Rammstein, because I mean,
yeah,
people know about Rammstein, they'll probably get their money back when they they do that. So funny story with that as well.
Were you at the Cape Town show?
No, we didn't. We missed the show because what happened with that was we gave them this, we took this safe, like a black safe, like a Terminatryx sticker on. We had like a CD and a T-shirt and stuff in there. And then I can't remember, did we give them the safe first and then drop the key off like a few days later so they could sit and wonder what it was? Yeah, I think we dropped the safe and then the key arrived like a day or two later.
Okay.
They checked it out and they contacted us and they were very interested. So it seemed like a kind of a sure thing that we'd be opening for Rammstein. Oh. But then kind of last minute management decided they're not going to have any opening. And by that time, all the tickets were sold out, so we didn't get to see the show.
I do recall I was there. I recall there not being an opening act. Yes.
Yeah.
It was in that casino, whatever.
Yeah. What's it called? Oh, fuck, I don't even know. Sonia, what's the casino called? Grand West Casino.
Grand West Casino. Thanks. Yes.
A place that I'd try to avoid unless I have to go. We seen Deftones there, which was cool. We saw 2 of the Kings of Chaos shows there, which were very cool. When Steven Tyler was in the one, and the other one had what's the guy, the Deep Purple bassist?
Roger Glover.
No. What's his name, man? this English guy. I did an interview with him for Muse magazine as well. Oh, God. No, but it was the first one. I can't remember who was on the. Okay, no, the first one. The guy, was it Miles Kennedy? His name Miles Kennedy from
Alter
Bridge. Yeah, Alter Bridge.
Yes.
I mean, that was when they had Slash, Matt Sorum. It was pretty much Guns N' Roses, but not with Axl. It was like the entire band, but with Miles Kennedy singing better than Axl. So that was very good. And the Joe Elliott, Def Leppard guy, was he on the first or the second Kings of Chaos? I can't remember. It's blurry. I think it was on the second one. And no, Steven Tyler and Nuno Bettencourt and the ZZ Top. Was it Billy Gibbons? No, Billy Gibbons. Who's the guitarist?
Billy Gibbons.
Billy Gibbons. He also died. No,
Dusty Hill died.
Dusty Hill died. Okay. And Duff was also on that one on bass guitar. No, those were very cool shows. So that's what we went to the Grand West for. No other reason than that. It's so depressing. You walk into a freaking casino. Yeah. Iron Maiden as well. Iron Maiden played there. We took our guitarist Patrick for his birthday to the Iron Maiden show. That was cool.
That was with Blaze.
Sorry?
Was that with Blaze?
No. That was sure. No, V.O.D. was in Europe at that time.
Oh shit! So they've been down there again with Bruce.
No, they played in this Soul Book of Souls.
Okay.
So it was a.
This is the second last one. Yeah.
No, it was very, very cool. So, but that was the one we decided we're going to sit this time. We're not going to stand. It's a drag to fucking stand in front there. So we took some seats and watched the spectacle. That was fun. Yeah, that's Grand West for me. I don't know if I'm ever going to end up going there. So, but then there were also some shows.
You said just now with all these bands, I have to second on that. I've decided with Olaf from Einheim Productions to, as you know, start the compilation Tales from the Dark Continent. And during my research, that's really something I noticed, especially from SA. There are hardly any straightforward metal bands, traditional metal bands, or goth metal bands, or it's either death metal or it's black metal or it's really or it's that core-ish sort of thing, you know. So I was it was difficult to make a choice, you know, because you don't want it all sounding the same. And when you mentioned it, I spoke to Olaf immediately, and he said, like, well, it'd be great to add Terminatryx in there to just give the whole thing a different flavor, you know. And
I mean, they were. I don't know if did you connect with the guys from Deadline?
Yes, Deadline. I've got. That's about the only power metal-ish.
That's band. Like the kind of metal band. One of the few metal bands. You know what I mean? But then, unfortunately, I don't think Strident exists anymore. Although they should have some recordings if you still want to check that out. Like one of the only real power metal bands in Cape Town.
I think that's always cool, but the thing is, the whole point is to sort of push something that's alive, you know, and rather get songs out there by bands that are still happening. Yeah. So, yeah.
With the exception of V.O.D track, of course.
Yes, of course, but I mean, and Groinchen.
But we never technically broke up. No one said, okay, the band's broken up. I think Francois will probably say it, but none of us have said. None of us have said, okay, now we've broken up. Because I mean, it's usually a case of Greg just sort of disappears off the map for like a couple of years, and then you hear from him again.
He texts me every now and then, but yeah. And then there's silence.
I can't go there. But also we had a long WhatsApp chat with old Dickon the other day. He's living out there in the countryside in England, and he's now got some hectic issues, and he's in operation, like a kind of a tinnitus, tendon issues that really screwing with him, making it difficult for him to play. So yeah, hopefully we'll get that sorted, because I told Manny he has to come down to Cape Town once more at least. Then we'll have to record, because I chatted with Greg about recording just after the Bluetooth album. I don't know, are we going to talk any V.O.D at all from the European England trip? Because when we decided we can't record it here, we initially, Philip Null was going to record it. We did do a recording, but then that just got shafted. Francois, I don't know, yeah, Francois covered the cost of that recording at Downtown Studios, I think it was. Yes. And it was just, yeah, it just wasn't right, eh? But then we decided best thing is just to go record it in Europe, and Greg liked the peaceful stuff at that time. So it was like Paradise Lost and My Dying Bride and those bands, and they all recorded at Academy Studios in Yorkshire. So London was like our base, so we went over there in '95 and recorded there and sent it over to Germany. And yeah, the Bluetooth album got released that way. But yeah, fuck man, what did I want to say now that made me jump back to that?
That was with the engineer of Paradise Lost, eh?
Mags. Yeah, I think he recorded all of that. Cradle of Filth as well.
Not Simon F.M.E., but Mags, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was hectic. I mean, we lived in the studio for like a week, like no money, at like live on rations kind of a thing. And yeah, so those recordings, when I listened to it every time, it's just like, you know, before we left South Africa, we were so rehearsed. We practiced like 2 or 3 times a week, played like maybe once a week. I mean, like 2 to 4 times a month, we played live shows. So we were really, like, if I listened to some of those, the rough recordings of the ones that we did in Joburg, and it's so much tighter and like actually too fast, way too fast for like the one song, Your Master Puss. It's just fucking way too fast. But then it was just a bit too loose, the recordings that we did in England, because we weren't really as rehearsed, because we were sort of sitting out the time until we had to go record, so didn't really have lots of practice sessions in between. So proper musicians will probably hear the fuck ups here and there, but I guess it adds to the character.
Making it still came out cool.
Making it feel like a real recording, not on a grid, fucking no click tracks and shit. We just like jump in there and do it.
Why make it all clinical?
Yeah. But also what I said about Terminatryx, when Tom left, we had another guitarist fill in for us. After Tom and Brett and Malcolm, had a guitarist, Brom, and then he also called it quits. So then I had to switch from bass to guitar. But actually, I did that when Tom left already. So all the recordings and stuff, and I just started playing guitar as well and just recorded everything. But then for live, we had people play it. But then when our longtime guitarist Patrick, he joined in 2008. He left 2017, 2018. So I started playing guitar for live shows from then on. But yeah, Flip, I prefer playing bass guitar live. It's much easier and less.
Yeah, no, it's more of you can groove out on it, definitely.
Yeah. So
how does the song process? Is it mainly the song ideas come from you and Sonia?
Yeah.
And basically the guys just execute.
In recent years, though, our drummer Ronnie, he also plays guitar and other stuff. So he's also got a one-man project. So he the last couple of years our drummer's been sort of kicking out songs as well. So we kind of spread it around a bit more, which is fun.
Cool. So any chance of, I know the answer to this question. I'm just asking it for the video. Any chance that some new V.O.D material?
That's what I was going to say when I was chatting with Greg on the phone. after the thanks, I didn't know why I jumped back to the Blutterfear recording, because during the Blutterfear recording, there were some new songs that weren't going to go on the album, but that we were working on, and just sort of extra ones that just didn't fit on the album. So I worked out the other day, I think it was about, at least there's like a 7-track EP's worth of songs that never got recorded.
Okay.
Although I think if the Black Cathedral album gets re-recorded, it'll sound much cooler, because that was very. I mean, those were live recordings. Everyone recorded at the same time. There were no overdubs. Just whole band recorded live. So I think there's some songs on there that I think there's some, like Religion. We tossed over onto Blutterfear, so that at least got its dues on a proper recording. But yeah, so I think there's about 6 or 7 songs that never got recorded, and I still remember pretty much all of them. Greg doesn't, so I'm gonna have to remember that. But
fresh.
I think it was some songs that he worked on with you as well. But I don't know if you'll remember any of those.
There are some, but
if Dickon comes back for a visit, I think we must just jump in and record that shit and do like the last V.O.D EP that no one ever got to see.
I tell you,
and
for me,
this year is the 25th anniversary of the Blutterfear album. A quarter of a century. It's exactly half my lifetime ago we recorded that.
Wow, man. Crazy. Crazy.
Nuts.
But to go back to Black Cathedral, if there's one album that I always thought would deserve a punchy recording, it's that.
Yeah.
There are some tracks on there that I think would kick such major league ass if you redid it. Definitely.
Yeah. And some of the songs on there were also some of the old punk songs that kind of got pulled over, like the front. I mean, the front was like a fast kind of punky song, and we like slowed it down. There's like this song that's also on the
and the path. What was the Trojan Horse?
Trojan Horse, yeah. Because initially the Trojan Horse album that was going to be that was the 7th demo, became the 7th demo, because just recording after recording after recording in Cape Town just didn't fucking work. I mean, some Starnet Studios recorded some tracks. There's some. Actually, half the 7th demo ended up being just a live recording at the stage. We just did a practice session, just recorded it live, and that ended up being half the songs on the freaking 7th demo. And some from the 7th, I mean, from the Starnet recordings. And where else? We also recorded at SABC at one stage, and that was just way too clinical. Never used any of them. And at Roxon Rehearsal Studios, we recorded a track. Actually, the whole Trojan Horse worth, and it was like, it just sounded so cuck. Thin.
Remember there was another guy we recorded with, where you played on electronic drums.
Lemmy, Canadian guy. Was it then different? I think
Lemmy, exactly.
Going at this big van. Yeah, it was this. He had this kind of a recording thing that recorded on like Betamax tapes, like these Betacam tapes.
Yes.
He had a Roland kit. We recorded on there, and I think that was we were going to do some songs for Ernesto's compilation. But then that Simmons kit, and I had the wooden beaters on the kick drum, and started playing like machine guns. Someone falling down the stairs with fucking a ladder.
I remember we were all in that room. I couldn't stop laughing.
So I had to pad the shit. I didn't have soft beaters because, I mean, obviously with the regular skins, but then it's hitting this fucking electronic kit. Oh man.
Yes.
That was so we recorded stuff there that we actually, I think some of those songs ended up on the Doom. It was like a little cassette, like a compilation.
Yeah, exactly.
Record and hand them out. I think it had Doom on there and a couple of other tracks. Maybe I think If I Had a Soul from the Death of Africa was just thrown on there as well. That's about the only of those.
Sitting there cutting out covers and stuff.
The old punk ways, just just kept going. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Yeah, as you know, the compilation has sort of been moved back a little. So
yeah, I also haven't. I wanted to finish that song for you. I still have to dig in and sort it out. I've got 4 Terminatryx songs I want to remix. I'm not happy with them. There's one for another project that Sonia and I have, O positive, like a O plus, not like a type O negative, kind of a joke on that. But we both O positive blood groups, so we thought, hey, let's just call it that. It's a little cover project that we've got. And we did 7 Nation Army from the White Stripes. So it's not metal, it's not anything, it's just however it sounds, that's what it's going to sound like. So we're not any kind of band. We just cover it the way we feel we want to cover it. So we did 7 Nation Army. We did another one now about a year ago, and Craig V played guitar on it. Initially, we asked Theo if he wants to do, and he said, "No, I'd rather chat with Craig." I mean, Craig also did a lead break for us on our song Medusa on the Shadow album. I've known Craig for forever. I mean,
yes.
He was running around stage diving at V.O.D shows the first time I met him.
I remember him from the one VHS. He downed the tall beer and then dove into the crowd. Yeah, he's fun. He's in Namibia a lot. And sorry, you were gone.
Sorry, no, I said when everyone was still young, skinny, full of energy, and their livers could still take lots of booze.
Exactly. Well, I think their livers still take booze because he's up in Namibia a lot with a friend of mine. And we're now doing that Project Lockjaw together, over the net and stuff. So, but yeah, they recently had a bit of a pinting session up there in the desert.
The other weird convergence is I've known Craig from our old V.O.D days. Sonia knows Craig from Somerset West because that's where she grew up and that's where he's from. And Theo knows Craig from, I don't know, just Stellenbosch area. And did this Terminatryx recording with everyone that we all know each other from different times, crisscrossing like that. Man. But
I remember Craig from Raffles.
Yeah, old Raffles days. And so Craig recorded on this one song, this new cover that we did, but it's been lying for like over a year that I just have to finish. But the problem with that is that we just want to release these as videos, not like kind of like Green Jello did with, it was supposed to be a video only band. So we're just going to release all these covers just on YouTube, nowhere else. So the next one we can only do that once we shoot the video for that. So don't know if we'll be able to do it before the year is out, so hopefully. So I've got 4 Terminatryx songs to do, that O Positive song to do, Sonia's acoustic, kind of a gothic acoustic project called ISOBEL, which she does with a friend of ours, Noreen Dorman. She plays acoustic guitar and they do vocals together, and then I play bass. I have to finish that album. Got all the songs, but I must finish the mixing. We released about 2 or 3 singles of those and did a couple of cool music videos for them. Sure, must be a year and a half, 2 years ago already. So I need to get cracking on all of this shit, and just to.
So you're really prolific. What is Francois doing?
Nothing. Musically,
nothing.
No, I mean, him and Theo they did a K.O.B.U.S album. Then they broke in and stole his computer, and everything was on there. It wasn't backed up anyway, so the entire album was gone. And he got a bit miffed and like didn't really want to, do it all again. But they sort of eventually, slowly but surely, did that again. And then they released like a best of on vinyl. I think there's like one extra track on there. They also did a Afrikaans Man of War cover, Woman Be My Slave, an Afrikaans one.
Perfect choice.
But they've been talking about, yeah, they sort of working on stuff. Eventually they're going to read, but they haven't given anyone any indication. But now, I mean, I haven't played drums for K.O.B.U since 2008, and Franco's not on Facebook anymore. So people keep asking me, "Hey, when's K.O.B.U doing something?" I don't know. I have no idea. You'll have to ask them.
Because Swarmetal was cool, man.
Yeah, no, it was fun. But so what they're doing, I don't know. Maybe one day it'll just pop up and they'll do something. I mean, recently there was a guy. He said he wants like one K.O.B.U show, so he's willing to like pay for it, just like a kind of a private show with a bunch of fans and friends. Put like a number on it, and Franz was like, "Nah, he doesn't know if he wants to play live show." Well, kind of convinced him, and Terminatryx will probably play there as well, so we can make a little party out of it. And so he kind of begrudgingly said, "Yeah, okay, no, cool. It sounds like a plan, but now we haven't heard back from these guys, so we don't know if this live show will happen." And if this live show doesn't happen, I don't know if there will be any other K.O.B.U shows, because Theo's got 2 kids as well. Francois' kid is like turning 16. So yeah, it's
So life just happens, eh?
Yeah, crazy. And not like the last year and a half, 2 years have helped anyone with anything.
Yes, correct.
But yeah, fuck. Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, like I said, some positive things came out of it. We've done a complete album, which we're going to release next year, end of next year. Then the compilation I'm really excited about. So, yeah, you got to sort of my fuck forward there.
For sure, man. And your Arcana stuff, you're just doing the older stuff, or you're doing new stuff as well?
There's a completely new album in the can.
Okay, cool.
But we've all done it digitally for obvious reasons. So,
yeah.
Had to.
Looking forward to that. And I must still do an interview with you for the V.O.D documentary that's been dragging along.
Yeah, for sure.
People who don't know, it's doing 3 documentaries on alternative South African music. The one is like a metal one with V.O.D and then everything around it. Second one is like a kind of a alternative gothic rock one with No Friends of Harry and all the bands around that. And then the third one is one on industrial Afrikaans around Patrenege, and going to bring somehow tie all the shit in this. We've shot lots of interviews and gone up to Joburg, did some interviews there with guys from No Friends of Harry and Patrenege, and I haven't done any of the V.O.D members yet, so I'll have to chat with you. I must link up with somehow Shu Dickon in the UK. He's got I don't know if he's out in the countryside somewhere, what the Wi-Fi would be like there. I'll be able to pop into. Because I was initially trying to kind of, maybe try and get someone to do the interview like with Skype or with Zoom, but then just have it shot properly as well and get the footage so that it doesn't feel like a Zoom documentary. But we did quite a few interviews shot down here before the whole thing happened, but now it's been stalled so long, it's difficult to kind of get back into it. And so it's not like we've got any funding for it, so it's doing it when I get a gap and when I have the strength to do it. There's still lots of interviews that I must shoot. Old Bong, you remember Bong with the dreadlocks?
Yes, Gunk.
Guys from way back that are still around. Still shoot Adam, get into all the details. Obviously, besides just having stuff around V.O.D, but all the bands that came along, just Mark Vass is going to be a long interview because that's going to go back into the history of all the Black Rose, those early metal bands that I never got to see. Let's just see how everything evolved, like from there to like Vulvodynia and stuff that's happening now. So it's a long history that no one really knows about. I don't know how many people care about it, but if we care about it, then we know there are still some people who might.
Definitely. I recently had a talk with someone here about Odyssey and their album that came. Apparently, that thing is going for horrendous sums now if you get your hands on the original pressing. So, but they're now bringing out a remastered version and stuff. So I think definitely, I was a little bit disappointed when I watched the Sam Dunn SA version. He did a little stint out, and I thought it was so misrepresenting of what the SA scene was all about. These new bands, these flash in the pans, and okay, sure, there's that band from Overthrust from Botswana, the death metal Cowboys. That's quite cool, yeah. But I felt, there's V.O.D, there's Retribution Denied. It should have at least mentioned the roots.
We went up, Terminatryx went up to play that. They did a special. They came. I mean, they were here for to shoot another band, Matchbox 20 or one of those kind of bands. They were hired to kind of shoot their show or docky while they were, who knows. So they were in South Africa. So they connected with Sean from Witch Doctor, and they sort of just kind of hooked them up to chat to bands and at least do something. But it's not like they could really go in depth. They were here for a couple of days.
So they just basically picked up what they could.
Yeah, they organized the show to at least connect to that, so they could get some footage. So Terminatryx flew up to do that show, and who else played? Aggro played. I think did they interview Cliffy on that?
I can't remember. I just remember some obscure band from God knows where, and Afrikaans death metal.
Orgasm played. I think Theatre Runs Red, Terminatryx, and the Drift. The Drift played. Louis' band, The Drift. And so it was kind of a nice mix, like a black metal band, us, Industrial Man, Aggro, which is more like a traditional metal band, and I think the Drift is a bit more of a, I wouldn't say not really sludgy, not really corey. They also have their own kind of thing. So it was an interesting blend of bands, but then they sort of latched onto the whole Borgasm thing because the family, the band members are like brothers and cousins and stuff, and the dad is like a metalhead, so they think that's when they had like a braai with them, and the bulk of it was interviewing them. And the other guys, the black metal band, something
Demogorgon.
Something Satan. Oh man,
Demogorgon Satanas.
Something like that. Yeah, it's cool that they had a nice interview with those guys, because it is an anomaly. But fuck man, I was sort of kind of expecting to do an interview with me as well to chat about V.O.D to go back, but they just sort of kept it within the more recent confines. And then with Sean, who was in Umtakati and V, what was his other band? Was it V? Yeah, it was V after Umtakati.
V. And there was another band called Diversion or something like that.
Yeah, I think they did like a split album with them.
Yes.
But something that they chatted with Sean. So it's very much from that perspective. But I mean, just to try and cram an entire country's metal history into that wasn't going to happen. So, but
I didn't know the background of them being there, so now it makes sense. They probably just sort of scoop up what they can.
It wasn't like a planned thing, like they're now going to make a South African documentary. So they were here and made the best of it. But I think what came out was cool. I mean, and for people who have absolutely no idea, that was cool. Also, the bassist from Borgasm, what's his name? I think he plays guitar in Borgasm, but he's the bassist for Volvadinia. So those guys. I mean, there's so many musicians playing for so many different bands, or jumping from one to the other. That's the thing with South Africa, is people kind of latch onto. It's kind of not, I won't say it's faddy, but there's a band that everyone sort of jumps on, and everyone, that's all they focus on, and then they just decide, okay, they're going to break up, or that's that, and then they're gone. And then you've got it kind of bands that sort of plug away, just do their thing, like Mind Assault. They fucking keep going and do it the way they can. You know, people say sometimes they get overlooked. But
I got some interesting bands now. Got some material from Voltemade. I don't know if you know of them.
Yeah.
Stefan Stein, he used to be in Namibia. He went down and joined them. I think he's also playing for Mind Assault.
Yeah, also playing for Mind Assault.
Yeah, then we've got Deadline. Then we've got Black Light Council, a black metal band from Johannesburg area, I believe. And then the Scarab from Egypt, a band Arkan from Togo, and a band from Libya, a band from Tunisia. Yeah, interesting to see the demographics.
Skinflint on there as well.
I tried. I'm not getting feedback from them, sadly.
But
I've got Metal Horizon.
Mozambique. Are they in Mozambique?
Skinflint.
They're from Mozambique, eh?
Botswana.
Botswana, okay.
Yeah.
And Rust as well.
I tried getting hold of them. They replied they're busy with other stuff. They can't. I said, all you have to do is send me a track. You know, there's not much to do. A logo and a photo, you know. But hey, if you know, first come, first serve. So
yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, no, if you snooze, you lose. I guess, man. It's just
exactly.
Yeah. I guess now it's people. You know, it's just since you know from when we had tapes and eventually CDs, and I guess back then it's like it had more value.
Yes.
Whereas now, Spotify, okay, I'll scroll through Spotify's 20 million freaking tracks. If I find something, maybe I'll listen to it. It's kind of, I think it's lost a bit of its value, maybe a lot. So
totally
to put together and at least to put the focus on a bunch of stuff like that. It's always essential to do that. And if you don't want to be a part of it, or if you don't have time, you must then just make time.
Look, I'm glad Olaf is keen on doing it. I mean, he's always very, very idealistic in that sense. And I mean, some bands actually said, so what are we getting out of it? I said, like, well, we're getting nothing out of it. We're just covering costs and you're getting free copies. So, and plus that thing is going through the channels of Olaf's network. So, and he's hooked up with Napalm Records, all those guys. So, wow, it's better than nothing, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's but I guess you know, where we had to, it was very much DIY back then. It is still very much DIY. It's just more digital and
absolutely. Yeah.
And you can record and release something from your freaking lounge. It's great, but that just means it's so much more of it to freaking swim through and find good stuff.
And you're one of many, you know, now.
Yeah, exactly. Just drop in the ocean. So, yeah, fuck. Otherwise, we just have to, I guess, like I say, if we've been doing it for 30 years, I guess we're not going to decide we're not going to do it anymore.
No, there's no way. I guess the live activity, at least for me, is not going to happen very soon again. So I've just sort of restricted myself to songwriting and creating and stuff. Maybe who knows what comes along. Unless
that V.O.D EP gets recorded and old Greg wants a second guitarist for the live shows, then you'll have to fly down. That's pretty much what happened with the European tour. It was just the four of us that went up and recorded. And then for the live shows, Greg was like, no, he's not going to just play on his own. And for the leads, not like V.O.D has hectic lead bits, but it's like second guitar bits. So yeah,
you can pull it off with one guitar. I mean, if you have to, you can.
Yeah. I mean, you did for the Opikopi shows. So, I mean,
yeah, that was fun.
Hey, you just don't know. Or if we do the EP stuff, then just send it to you and see what you can add on there and just
why not? Do it the modern way.
then if you get the bit, you go, I don't remember. That's you and Greg were sitting in the practice room working out this one thing. There's one piece. I'm sure it's a song that you guys worked on, but
there is a song. It's a very doomy, very My Dying Bride, slow piece that I do remember. But as for the structure and how it repeats and stuff, I wouldn't know. But it was something we recorded at Stacy's house still. We had a tape recorder going. And we were just grinding that thing through. And Greg was really crazy about the song. I wasn't. Because at the time, everything for me had to be fast.
Yeah. Crash or not. Oh, man.
That's
nice. The thing. Just playing at those speeds. But then also, since I started, when I played with K.O.B.U.S, I mean, with V.O.D, I played so freaking hard because mainly with the practice rooms, it was always cranked up so loud. I had to move the drums so hard to actually hear it. So
the crate.
I've got a very heavy playing style.
Thanks to the crate.
Eh?
It's all because of the crate.
Yeah, that crate got cranked.
And I remember I saw Greg in the corner of my eye during many a live show. Going back.
The longer the show goes, the deafer he goes, and the more he has to fucking turn up.
And David on the other end, like, fuck.
So then with the V.O.D period, I was playing very, very hard. But then with K.O.B.U.S, I picked up a much lighter playing style, so you can actually play faster and easier playing lighter. But with got a sore knee or a sore elbow or a sore ankle when you hit 50. So fuck, I don't know if I'll be able to play those songs again. I have to see. I've got an electronic kit, so I can just play it.
Just like triggers and just tickle him.
Yeah. No, we'll see. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Nothing's planned, but nothing's impossible.
Yeah.
And if Franz will do the vocals, I don't know. We'll have to see. But I'm sure if we record stuff and he hears it, he'll definitely say, yeah, okay.
That'll be the little drop of blood to get him hungry again.
Yeah. We'll see.
Do it. Lekker, man.
Cool, man.
I'll let you know. You must let. I can now obviously pick out a few links and stuff that you sent me, but I would obviously like to post everything that's relevant for you guys underneath the video once I hoy it up there.
I'll send you all the stuff. Yeah.
Do that. Anything you want to plug, and obviously also outside of Terminatryx and V.O.D, go for it. And I'd like to hoy it on.
Yeah. Cool. We'll chat soon. We'll chat about those alternatives documentaries sometime soon. And
yes, let's.
Yeah. Cheers, man.
Do it. Send my regards.
Same there. Where's your cat?
No, she went elsewhere to tease the Chihuahua.
Yeah, Chihuahua's sleeping over there as well. 2 of them.
That could be a song. Tease my Chihuahua. Yeah, but they're fun. Cool, man. Cheers. Nice evening.
Cheers. Cool, man.